couple things I would say that I think are helpful for change. First, as an individual, when worrying about what happens, is reminding yourself of how much change you've already been through and where you are today, and then go find moments of when you made decisions change or changes hit you in the face, but then there's actually great things that came after. There's so many examples in our life when change happened and so many good things came after it.
But anyways, the point is about this change thing, right? It's like asking yourself
and write those answers down.
What do you have? So here again, one more time is the question.
Say the questions again.
What in your life do you have total control over? What do you have some control over? And what do you have no control over?
And what do you do once you answer those questions? I guess maybe to kind of bring this all around is when you're in a relationship now and we think through change and look at change differently, what's advice that we can give to couples, because that's part of being in a relationship. You can make a lot of decisions together. What advice do you have? Welcome back to Over Dinner. What started out as conversations regarding relationships, parenting, personal development, and the human experience over dinner turned into this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it did. Forgot that part. I'm Jarrod.
And I'm Dr. Nikki.
Hey guys. If you're new to the show, listening or viewing us for the first time, welcome. First off, please like, subscribe, comment, share with us. We're loving engaging with you, and a lot of these topics that have come up have come from some people sharing things and thoughts, and we love the engagement and just being able to talk about these things with you. So also, if you have been following us for a little bit and you are watching us, new lighting, new view, we're looking pretty fine.
Yeah, it's the best quality we've had so far.
Best quality. We took advantage of Prime Day and got some new lights.
But we also are not recording on the same software we were before.
That's true. We're trying a new software.
No, we're just back on Zoom.
We're back on Zoom. And we think the quality's a little bit better. But so if you're listening, go check out YouTube. Give us some feedback. Let us know.
You'll see some of them on Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram, we're at Over Din Podcast.
Abbrev.
And you can see some of our clips there. So you can see the quality. But let us know if you like it, because it definitely looks better in here.
And it's blinding. And I can't see anything. But it's great.
Yeah.
So we usually talk about what we had for dinner. We had couples therapy tonight, as we've discussed in other episodes. We kind of wing it, sometimes pick up Chipotle, or just come home and go, what's in the fridge? Let's make it. I made tuna, mixed it in with some Triscuit crackers. It was delicious. And then what did you have, Nick?
I just had like a frozen power bowl.
Yeah.
It's like basil chicken and beans or something. It was good.
Sounds delicious. Great. And I also had Magic Spoon cereal. If you guys know, it's great, like healthy, delicious Magic Spoon. 10 grams of protein. Threw in some Purely Elizabeth granola, some fresh blueberries. Yeah,
it's
my favorite dessert.
Eats it every day.
Every day.
We can put that in the recipe.
That's our recipe. Cereal bowl. Hey, it's good.
Yeah.
So what we want to talk about tonight is we're in the midst of some new changes happening in our lives and with our family. And we just got us talking a lot about, first off, how we handle change. What do we do when change happens? We have planned changes or ones that we're initiating that's happening, and also ones that just come up out of nowhere that you have to navigate. And it just got us really talking about and thinking about. Actually, it's funny when we were both kind of going back and forth. What should we talk about for this next podcast? I had this in my mind. I hadn't told her yet. And then she goes, I think you should about change and how to navigate change. I was like, oh my God, same brain. That's what I was thinking. So we thought about, because we also had a lot of challenges in the past because I think we both look at it differently when change happens and what happens for us during those times. And I think we're trying to learn how to navigate our individual experiences and then in a relationship, and then just be more prepared for when change happens as best you can and how to navigate it. So that's what we want to talk about tonight, especially when you're parents and you have kids. Change just seems to throw things off. And all out of whack.
I mean, change can be as little as you plan your week out and kids get sick and everything goes
It
out
could
the
be
window.
as simple as you have a whole birthday weekend planned and that gets canceled and then you're stuck.
Yeah, so listen to episode 3.
Listen to episode 3. I don't do good with unplanned change. That's for sure.
But sometimes it's so interesting because I feel like you're like such a fluid person,
Yeah.
see, like that's what I originally saw.
Mm,
Like in you, you're like go with the flow. You're just like super like
I do, but I care about you a lot. And
yeah,
so when I'm also a people pleaser
yeah.
and the change impacts something I was trying to please you with a great birthday experience, and I get, what do I do now?
Okay,
Um,
so if I was like, we had plans on Friday
mhm,
and like it got rained out for some reason, whatever,
yeah,
you'd be like, okay, and then we've made some other plan. That would be fine.
that would be fun. But it was because it was specifically for you on your birthday and I wanted to make it special. And then I got thrown by a loop that Friday
Yep.
right before it. And then I just didn't know how I could exceed that. Of course, I'm trying to match that experience or
Yeah.
what I had planned. Frozen, caught, don't know
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah.
Deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. But change can also be as big as starting new jobs, starting new
Moving across the
schools,
country.
moving across the country, getting a dog, like having a baby, getting married, like big, big
Yeah,
changes, right? Your identity shifts, like, so it can be a lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah. So I'd love to know, how do you feel about change?
Well, like you said, I think,
Do you want to check on our son?
yeah,
Okay. I
doing
heard,
great.
okay.
He's just making
I heard
noises.
lots of,
Yeah, he's just banging on the wall, playing with cars.
okay.
Um, I think I'm pretty good with change because
You
you
just
know,
said you're not.
with that specific experience, that was hard. That was hard for me.
Okay.
A change of plans when it's something a plan I made that was for you, and I'm a people pleaser, more specifically people pleaser for you. I want to make you happy. When that gets thrown off and I'm caught and I have like half a day or less than half a day to figure something out and I don't know what to do because I thought I crushed it. I got the right plan. I think that gets me. But I think typical change or things coming up, like I'm pretty fluid because I try to stay as present as possible. We've talked about that. I'm trying to be present, like stuff's going to happen, right? Things are going to happen and change is going to happen. I think I'm actually more fluid when it is like what's upcoming with us, plan change. I think I'm just, yeah, let's see how it goes, right? Because I don't think anything's permanent. Nothing's permanent. So we can always make a decision to do something differently. That plan didn't work out or that change didn't work. We can again make another change and pivot again. So I don't think it's when change happens for stuff you don't really know what's going to happen. So if you try to assume how it's going to be or what it's going to look like and stress yourself out and cause yourself to feel anxious, I'm like, that doesn't benefit me. I'm just going to have to roll and I guess put myself in the best position possible to navigate it and make sure we've done everything that we could and within our control. Yeah, but I think change is good too because it is, I like to grow. And I think when you are in an opportunity of change happening, it pushes, typically it goes outside your comfort zone, especially for me because I am pretty regimented on some things. So I do like to create a little chaos every once in a while because I think it's good for everybody. I think it's good for you. I think it's good for our kids because it teaches you to deal with adversity, how to navigate new situations, put you in uncomfortable environments, and as long as you have support of people around you, I think we can get through anything. So I don't go too far in the future like, oh my God, what's going to happen when we do this? What will it look like? What if this happens? What if this happens? I'm like, what's going to happen? I don't know. But whatever happens, I'll just stay present again and navigate it with you and whoever I need to navigate it with. Right. So that's how I look at it.
Cool.
What about you, Nicole? How do you look at change?
I think I used to look at it in a much more, I think it's both actually, but it used to be much all, oh no, man, now that I think about it, when I was younger, I really endorsed change. Like
Mm,
I wanted change. I wanted to change lanes when I'm driving. I wanted to change classes. I wanted to change clothes. And it's probably definitely a part of being ADHD and, changing things around. But I liked change when I was younger. I noticed change started becoming more difficult for me. I can really start thinking about it when when we were traveling.
mm.
Jared and I used to take an international trip once a year or maybe like twice a year. We did a lot of different things. We
Yeah, I haven't done that since 1918.
Bahamas.
Yeah, it
Anyways,
does.
okay. So, anyways, I remember feeling out of control, like in these environments that I didn't know, and fear came up really for the first time. And I hadn't felt that before. like traveling, for instance. So changing environments, being in a new situation, not having my safety, uh, was a first thing I kind of noticed about that. Um, and then also being off of medication. I've been off medication for about 10 years now for ADHD. I really had to learn structure, routine, writing things down, living by my calendar for me to have an optimal day and be productive and to know what I was doing. So I get really like set in that for the week ahead. It really helps me going into the week. So when that gets disrupted, it's very challenging for me to pivot, like you were saying earlier. Um, my initial reaction to many things is typically glass half empty.
Mhm.
So it's fear-based, or I feel frustration, or I tend to go more of like, this is a problem, rather than thinking like, what can I learn? But through personal development and over the last year and a half, I'd say, my idea of change has changed. I was like, what is a better word
What's a better word than
than change?
change?
I'm working on that. Actually, I'm trying to learn a lot more words right now. But I feel like I started seeing things differently because I was seeing the world and myself differently.
Mm.
So, for instance, the change that we are about to walk into, I have bittersweet slash mixed feelings. And I'm more on the percentage that of like, what's next? How can this, continue our development? I think, or his development rather. I think I started. Do you mind if I pull something up that I wrote about change last night?
Oh man, mine as well.
Okay. So I actually wrote about this, and it is from Tuesday, July 23rd, 11:10 a.m. Let that shit go. That's what the blue mug in front of me reads. Let that shit go. Jarrod bought it for me while he was in Seattle on a work trip on one of those airport kiosks. I often do a brain dump at the end of the night to help me unpack the day and, well, let that shit go. And I wrote like a whole mind rant, which I'm not going to get into, but basically what I was writing was like every single thought about what is to come. So, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? I also don't want to start with this and do this. And like, what about that? Like, I just start thinking about all these things upcoming. Then I wrote, change is on the horizon. When change comes, I result to emotional eating, anxious sleepless nights, and projecting things that most likely won't happen. We're leaving the safety of his current place and moving to a new location, new people, new everything. I feel that he is more resilient than me, but I don't know. And then I wrote something like, I started talking about autism a little bit, just like language and things like that. And then I followed up with this earlier today and wrote change. It makes me want to eat an entire bag of chips. Being naturally an anxious person, I begin to build stories about what's ahead and then start to regret what I'm leaving behind. Even though I know that what lies ahead most likely is an up level from where we are. Growth is hard, especially when you have no control. This change is about my children, changing schedules, environments, teachers, and more. More choices that become the foundational blocks of their entire being. How does the decision I'm making today impact their future? Although I know resilience is built from adversity, it doesn't make it any easier. Sometimes I wish I was a person who could flip the switch and move into the next chapter with curiosity, and one day maybe I'll be able to do that. But right now it feels fear-based and consistently asking myself, is this the right decision? I have mixed feelings about change, right? It's really that one sentence that I said that I have fear about moving forward in the future. I worry about what I'm leaving behind. It's like I want to take everything with me,
Yeah,
kind of
you
thing.
can't.
No. So I think I'm evolving with
Yeah,
my feelings around change.
yeah. I have thought too. I think when I'm choosing to change and it's going to impact me, it doesn't, it's not as hard.
Right,
But when it's change that could impact people I love,
right.
it might be a little more challenging for
It
me.
is.
Like we're making this recent change, which you kind of spoke about in there, is that, you know, we've been with this center and support for our kid for the last 2 years, Jake. And we're taking and they love him and he's done amazing there and he's grown so much, which is why he's ready for change. but we're pulling him away from the safety of the people we know, the center, all the care and love that they give him, and putting him in an environment that is going to challenge him, that is different,
Mhm.
right? And we don't know what that's going to look like.
And I wrote as well that I feel that he's more resilient than me, but I don't know. But that's the thing about having a language disorder. I don't know because he doesn't express.
Yeah, but he
So I
does.
have to guess. I have to make up my own stories. I have to build my own case. Like
Yeah, but
we know,
we
yes,
know
of
because
course.
that's why when we took him out of the
So,
of
oh,
no, when we took him out of we put him in a
public school.
public school special ed, like the way he came out of that classroom versus how he come out of this classroom, it was evident,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So he
Yes,
does
he
let
does
us
express,
know.
and what we're hoping is that him going to this new environment will help
Yeah,
produce more language, more awareness. Like there's a lot of things that we are looking forward to, and also know that making this change is for the better. Well, we don't know for the betterment, but right now it is the
it's
right
the right
decision.
decision.
I love this quote I've read before. It says, you made the best decision with the like knowledge that you had at this time or
Yeah,
something
that's
like that.
it.
But like we don't know.
Yeah, and you can't. And I say this a lot, like in the work I do, I say, don't judge your results, judge the decision making you made. Like, because you can't know what the results will be. And the results don't tell you if doesn't mean it's a wrong decision. It's like based off all the information you had and where you're at, did you make the best decision possible? That's all within your control, right? The results are going to happen, whatever they look like. It doesn't mean it was a wrong decision. So don't evaluate your decision based off the results. Like if you're making great decisions consistently, the results are a byproduct of that. But did you make the right decision based off all the information that you had at the moment?
Yeah.
And then you're doing the right thing,
Yeah, and
right?
I definitely believe that we are. I think your point though about making decisions that are not about you, like whether it's planning a birthday and wondering what that person wants to do, or if it's like decisions about leaving your children with people that are other than your family or you. Like I know those we're not necessarily talking about change in that regard, but making those decisions is more challenging than me deciding, you know what, I'm going to change my schedule up and my diet.
Yeah,
Like me making that sort of switch,
different.
it's completely different
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Um, Something you said too, because it seems like when change is happening, you go to, what bad things might
Mhm.
happen. And then I think you shared this Instagram snip with me the other day. It said 85% of the things that you think are going to happen actually never happen.
Yep.
So I guess the question, it seems like you've evolved your view of change. What has helped for that? And like what's gotten you, obviously those things still happen, but what have you done? What's worked or what's been processes that you've taken to help you maybe think of it differently or navigate change a little bit? Because when you think about the last, right, like us as individuals, but us as a country, us as people have gone through so much change in the last 5 years, right? So how has it evolved for you and where are you at and what have you done to help yourself, I guess, get
One of
good
the
out of it?
gifts of ADHD is that like I forget.
That's so true.
So I'm like, was that hard? I
Was
don't
that? I don't
remember. I
remember.
don't remember. Um, I think that's such a good question because like sometimes I feel like I haven't grown at all, and sometimes I think I have. But like let's like take an example of change in schedule. So like when you travel, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Um, those weeks are really emotionally, physically challenging for me. Um, I'd say because I'm dealing with tracks in my mind of fear of loss
Hmm.
while also dealing with managing more responsibilities. So I feel like in those types of change, I do I don't do well until like I'm in it. So like I'm just dealing with
It's like
it.
leading up to it.
It's
It's
the lead
harder.
up.
Yeah.
It's really challenging. I think that's honestly that's the way with everything. Like when we were traveling or doing things. I have these trips upcoming in the fall with girlfriends, and it's the actual fear. It's not, it's whatever's coming up
Hmm.
before I even go that makes it really
Yeah. And then you do it and it's never what you thought it was going to be.
no.
No, of
And
course
that's
not.
so that's the 85% thing is like you create all these stories in your head, and it doesn't help to have social media because we look at all these stories that are happening in other people's lives and we're like, well, there's my evidence.
Mm.
This totally could happen.
Yeah.
So I think it impacts me seeing other people go through experiences and then adding it onto my person and being like, this could happen and this will
And I think the
change.
hard part of that is knowing the current situation you're in, it feels safe. That if I'm choosing to change or make a change, all those things now become possible.
Right.
But right now, I know I'm in.
Even though these things are probably still
Yeah,
possible.
yeah, but it doesn't seem
Right.
that way. It seems
Right.
like this is safe. I'm comfortable. I know
Right.
what this is. But if I'm choosing to do something different, I'm throwing it. I'm putting a whole bunch of new variables out there.
Yeah.
But what you said, and I want to kind of say, I think the thing that helps and what's helped me is that you look on Instagram, you see, and those things are possible, but also you have evidence from all the change you've already overcome, all the change you've already been through, and you're still here, and things are good.
Yeah.
Right. So if,
Change has actually continuously been for
yeah,
the better.
like I think the fear is like, I don't know if I'm going to get through this. This change is going to be hard. What's going to happen? But I think you can look back and hundreds of things that have changed in your life. You're still here.
Yeah.
You're still doing well. And you can look back and go, oh man, like what happened after that? Like so many good things happened. And sometimes change doesn't always lead to great things. But again, you can choose to make another change. You're still change a lot of times is a choice. Sometimes it isn't, right? But it's all about how you look at it, as you said, through that lens. And it's a choice. Like it's all perspective at that point.
Something that you've said to me as well, and something I've also read on Instagram, is if you're
Did
gonna,
I say it first or did you read on Instagram first?
I think I've heard it from you first,
Ah, sweet.
for sure. But I also seen it on
That
Instagram.
means I didn't get it from Instagram.
You got it from somewhere. But the idea
My mind.
is that if you're gonna spend that much time thinking of what could go wrong,
Mm.
you should
Equal.
get equal how like the things that could go right,
Yeah.
right?
And you have to
So
make a habit of that.
So I think for me, change is mostly about the unknown of like, and instead of being curious or being open to riding that uncomfortability that comes with the unknown, for me, it comes to like what is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And this is going to be hard and I'm not going to like this and something's going to happen. Like, I'll give you this perfect example. So we had a meeting with Jake's new clinical director the other day, and there's a little hiccup in his schedule in a couple weeks. It's no big deal, not even worth us getting into details of it. But I wrote Jarrod during this conversation. We were both in this
What did you
meeting.
write?
I wrote fuck
In all caps.
in all caps. And he wrote me back like it's gonna work out, it's gonna be okay. And I followed up with her later with the email and just stressing the importance of this thing. And then I got an email today getting a confirmation that his new BCBA will be able to fill in for these days. I don't know how many hours or what it is, but it did work out,
The next
right?
day.
Right. So it's like, and I spend a lot of energy on the concern of the unknown.
That's
And it's
draining.
draining. I was just gonna say it's
Like
draining.
it's you know how hard it is to have negative thoughts? It's like really hard.
I don't know if they're negative thoughts. Would you call it like a worry a negative thought?
A negative thought to me is something that's not helping. It's actually hurting your body.
I don't know if I like the language of like a negative thought.
Okay, let's just, but to me, the way why I say it's negative, because it is actually harming you physically. Like we know stress and those things actually do a lot of harm to you. So that's why I would say it's negative, right?
Yeah.
Gratitude is better for your body. There's science behind that. Something I have an interesting question for you. Even though you have all these worries and stuff about change, you still make the decision to change. Why? Like it's a lot easier not to make that decision. But what if you know your plan, even before you make that decision, you have all these worries. And I think a lot of people would be like, well, F that. I'm not going to make that decision because this could all go bad. What pushes you on the other side of that?
I it is a good question because I think I've been that way my whole life. It's like there's a book, like feel the fear and do it anyways.
Yeah.
That's pretty much me.
Mm.
It's like I'm uncomfortable as fuck. I don't want to do this. This is not, I don't want, I'm worried. And I think my inner knowing is that it will be okay.
Does that like feel like a trigger to you now? Like that I must do it because if this is coming up for me, is that like this must mean I should go? I wonder if it's like that feeling that comes up. You're like, okay, I'm really worried. That means I got to lean into it and do it. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does. And I think that's really actually important point because I've asked you this question a million times. Like, what is intuition?
Mm.
What is real? What are my thoughts? Like what is like true?
Yeah.
Right. And it's like a really challenging thing to fully understand. But I thought about this in therapy tonight. Star made a comment about my connections, how fast I make them.
Mm.
And she said, you know, when these things happen, you're okay. And yet you later come up with like a bigger emotional reaction. And what we discovered is that that's more habitual when I react to certain situations, even though I actually am cool with it. Instead, I like create drama. And I don't give myself any credit.
No,
So I actually think that like I want to be a cool person. No, like not
you are cool.
no. I want to be a person that's like I'm cool. Like I don't have stress. I don't have worries. I feel like I want to like unload and be like Jesus, take the wheel. Like I want to just I want to be that person. And I think that person is actually within me.
Hmm.
And through conditioning, I feel that I've created a shell that is really protecting that. Because to answer your question, I've always done this. Like I've always like I think part of it is like I also enjoy it. I think I enjoy change too.
Yeah.
Like trying something new, doing something different. I get sick of the mundane. I am
That's
ADHD.
true. It's part of how your brain
So
works.
like I like to change it up, but
Mm.
I also love my routine. So it's really I get kind of stuck in this like thing. I if it was up to me, we had all the money in the world and like we could do whatever we wanted, right? Like you had a job that you could just be like, I'm checking out for 3 weeks and I'll be back and I'll check, you
I'd
know.
be sick.
So maybe I'd be less careful.
Mm.
I don't know. I feel like I have to be really careful
Mm.
right now. I feel like decisions I make impact other people.
Well, I think it's
Did
not.
I answer your question? I
Yeah, you
feel like I
kind of.
didn't.
Yeah, you did. You did. You
Like
did.
what were you trying to like get at? Like
No,
asking
like
the question.
what pushes like you have all these fears, but you still do the things. You make the
Because I think at
choices.
the end of the day, even though, so I know I rambled a lot at the, but what I was really
Shocker.
trying to say at the very base of it, I think, no, I know that I actually trust myself and that I am more capable than I actually let on. And what happens is, this is what I was really trying to say, is when it's too easy and like there's no like
Chaos.
chaos,
You like a little chaos.
I
I was
do
going to
like a
say
little chaos.
that.
Yeah, it's like if there's no
I do
chaos,
too, though.
if there's no chaos,
Yeah.
it's too easy,
Yeah.
then like
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like when it's just like
click, click.
it's just like just I know the next thing is gonna happen, the next thing is gonna happen. I don't like
But I
that
don't mean
either.
it like that. I mean like, so we're making this change for Jake specifically. Every single thing about this has been green lights. From the
Sure.
next place we're going to the pre-K, like everything has been good. Okay. So like I'm actually feeling pretty fucking good. I'm like, and I still have the feeling of like, this is bittersweet. I'm sad to be leaving. And yes, I have a little voice in my head that's like, oh, I'm good. This is like, should we not go? Like, this is like, they will be the same. They're so nice. He's learned so much. But the other voice is louder that is saying, it is time to go.
Yeah.
And so something else we brought up human design from our last episode, but as a projector, there's three different types of like inner wisdom, you can call it. And mine is my splenic intuition, and that's your spleen. And with people who have this colored in, for lack of better words, like for this is on their chart that is defined, it is a knowing that is immediate. And then if you don't hear it, like it is so quiet. But if you don't pick up on it, it's gone.
Mm.
And so I know instantly, like if someone's the right fit for like the swim instructor that I was like, we're not doing this. Like I know instantly. That's like how I really feel like when I saw you walking on the steps, like that was a different feeling than I had ever had before. So I think I know a lot of things. And so
You
that,
do. You know everything.
I don't know.
You do.
Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
You do know everything.
Tell them where this comes from.
It doesn't come from anything. I just
Yes,
think
it does. I
I
know exactly where you're going.
what I'm saying is, to your point, if you were present all the time, you'd always hear that. So you do know every time. It's pointing you in the right direction every single time. Doesn't matter. Again, back to it doesn't matter the outcome. It's pointing you in the right direction. But most of us, as we said, 85%, this is another 85%, that 85% of our thoughts are in the present or in the future or the past. So we're actually not present. Like that thing's probably for you and your spleen, mine's my sacral, right? So mine's in a different spot. But that's going off all the time during the day. But because we're not present in awareness, which back to mindfulness meditation helps us be there more often, we miss it constantly. And then we use our thinking brain more often than not to make decisions when things come up. But something you said, what was it that you said earlier? Something so good to say.
What was it about? What was I
Um,
talking about?
oh, it'll come back to me. I was holding it and I wanted to say it.
Write it down next time.
I will. I'll write it down sometimes.
Yeah, I think we should actually have papers.
Yeah,
Don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't remember it. Keep talking.
So similar to me, like, I don't know if you're similar to me in the sense that, like, when I think about change for you, like certain things, you haven't always gone after it.
No, that's true.
So talk to me about that. I really want to know what you were thinking, but
I know. I don't want to know what I was thinking too. I felt like it was good. It was a connection I was making. Um, yeah, I haven't always been good at initiating change. I think I handle change well, but I haven't always even when I know. Yes, Nikki.
I'm raising my hand. Well, I actually want to just say, like, as a generator, God, I just want to talk about human design all the time.
Yeah.
If you're unfamiliar with human design, I'm specifically talking about Jarrod's design type. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Link
But
in the show notes.
as a generator, you are
Yes.
wait for the invitation.
Yes.
So in many ways, you're actually
living my
not
design.
supposed to initiate change,
Yeah.
right? So that's a beautiful thing that when you have been in like congruency with that, you absolutely things are coming to you.
Yeah.
But I'm specifically relating to when perhaps not been in a situation that was really supportive to your well-being. Like I'm thinking about like maybe your first job out of college that like was good for a while and then like wasn't suiting you and it was struggling to get out. Maybe it was a relationship, whatever it is in your life that like has not been serving you, you may, please correct me if I'm wrong, it feel like you stay stuck.
Yes. I think the big thing for me is I don't like confrontation. I feel like I'm causing confrontation. Just back to people, please. Disappointing somebody else. Not thinking about myself, thinking about other people that will be impacted or that I have to have that conversation that I don't want to have and I keep myself stuck. Even though I know what I'm supposed to be doing, I got to get out or make a shift or make a change. I'm definitely better now. I'm confident and I know who I am now and I trust my instincts a lot more than I have before. And I'll speak up when I want to speak up. There's still moments and stuff, but I think that's kind of better. I do remember what I was going to think about. And what I was saying, I think maybe the evolution of change for you has gotten harder or more challenging because you have more on the line now.
100%.
There's so much more on the line that the decisions and changes that we choose to make, it's not just me.
Me saying I'm cautious?
Yeah, you're cautious, but I think there's just so much more on the line.
Yeah.
And so it's risky.
Yeah.
Change is always risky. You're taking a risk that you don't know what's on the other side of it. And not just you or not just me, it's our kids.
It's a lot.
A lot of other people are impacted by that.
sure.
So that's what came up for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think for me, yeah, I didn't enact. You've pushed me to enact a lot of change. You have, and I appreciate that because it's all led to really great things for me.
It's funny because my design as a projector is sorry, you're not wait for the invitation. You're wait to respond.
Yes.
I wait for the invitation. So actually my design is to not initiate things, but I'm an Aries. I'm like really into this stuff, horoscopes,
Yeah, you are.
human design. Like I really am into this stuff. Anyways, that's my nature. My nature is to be like I see the answer. So and I want to elevate others. So if I can see someone is in distress, or I can see where they should or need to go based off of their talents, their interests, their passions, like I want to support someone to go in that direction. I also hate seeing people in distress. And if I can help them get out of that, I want to be able to do that. So I also was raised in an environment that encouraged me to talk about my feelings right off the bat and to talk about my needs. So like I had that platform to use as a very small child. And so it's been, and my dad has always encouraged me to ask more questions, to like to be interested and so forth. So I'm not uncomfortable to ask the hard
No,
questions.
you're not.
And I'm not uncomfortable. I mean, yes, it's uncomfortable, but as we just talked about, I'm willing to do it
You'll
anyways.
do it.
I'll do it anyways. And I'm willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
So in those situations, I felt like you were sharing with me small details because you weren't fully in touch with it. But I feel like I made those connections very quickly and knew what needed to be done.
Yeah. What's interesting, I was just thinking about for you is when you are in distress, you'll you'll make change really quick. And sometimes not right. I'm thinking examples like you've been distressed at, at the current center we're at, and you're like, we got to get out of here, right? We got to get out of here now. And sometimes we make quick decisions when in a moment. To your point, maybe we should ask more questions, let understand more. But then it's harder to make when things are good. It's a lot harder to make that choice to make a decision when there's nothing bad happening. But I feel like I think that makes it a little bit harder, right? But you are like, if you feel it, you're like, no, we're doing changing it.
Or not just changing it, but like I will do something.
You're gonna do
It's
something.
like I'm gonna have a conversation with someone,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something. And I'm really grateful for that skill because I
I am
need
too.
that for being an advocate for
Yeah,
my
yeah,
son or and both of our
yeah.
kids. But
I guess maybe to kind of bring this all around is when you're in a relationship now and we think through change and look at change differently. What's advice that we can give to couples because that's part of being in a relationship. You have to make a lot of decisions together and changes. Like I asked you to move across the country.
but I wanted
My
to
job.
go.
You did. And there was
You first moved, you asked me to move to San Diego, and I
I
was
did.
like, yeah,
Well, obviously that was a quick, easy
yeah,
move, and that was not that far.
yeah, it's true.
Moving across country, but what changed from you saying we're never moving to Georgia? You said that we're never moving. What changed to make a change? But then, but even through that, you're like, you doubted,
Oh, for sure.
you went back and forth. But in a relationship, how do couples? Obviously, we're going to say communication.
Yeah,
Obviously,
but it's just tough because for me, like the move to Georgia was based, we were in the middle of the pandemic, like early 20, it was late 20, no, late 2020, right?
you made a decision. Yeah.
Yeah. And
No. Yeah. It
early,
happened probably early 21.
yeah, made the decision early 21. And it was based in, I knew we were not going to be able to have what we have here. But ultimately, it was the opportunity for you
Mm.
that I knew, sorry, that we weren't going to be able to have what we have here and there. We
Yes.
weren't going to be able to afford it. And it wasn't going to be exactly what we wanted and what we both had envisioned. But then the big thing is that I saw it as really important for you
Mm.
to go because it was a window of opportunity to move into your dharma, right? To move into a space that was going to get you to the next place. So I saw that as really beneficial. And I wanted an adventure.
Yeah.
And the more then we came here, and that was when my perspective really started to change, was like seeing things, being within them. Like it's like I've read about this. Where was this? God, I can't remember where this was. Think about it like this. The news is telling us like this place is like there's a million storms happening in this area, blah blah blah, like everyone blah blah blah. And then you like text somebody who's in that area, and they're like, "No, not a cloud in the sky. Everything's fine." And so we create this whole perception of things before we even know what they are. And so that makes us be like, no, I'm not moving to in Georgia. Like, what? And now I'm like, this is home.
Yeah.
This is where I was supposed
Yeah.
to be the whole time.
And we also thought like we could move back.
Yeah.
Like it's not permanent. I mean, I was thinking about most decisions you make to change aren't permanent, but having kids is permanent,
Yeah.
right? You're
But
not like
even,
oh, never mind, put it back in.
but even the decision about like us having a third child, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What I'm trying to get at is,
so where are you with that? Just kidding.
God, we're not going to that conversation again. But what I'm trying to get at is like we view change differently, and we're probably going to respond to it differently. Like even having a kid was a different experience for both of us, and we probably didn't. I didn't do the best job of communicating what I was going through in those moments. So I think, as we would always say, probably for anything in a relationship, is explain whether it's an intentional change or one that just happened, what's actually happening for you, like what's going on with you, like
Before even that, like, Jarrod, like, let's be real here. You would not be able to explain where you're at or what you're feeling or how, like, what's going on in your head without one, the work that you've done, and then
true,
two, therapy.
true.
And
So it all goes back to individual growth.
yeah,
Everything does. Yeah, because and I thought for a long time I had to have it all together, and I thought that's what you needed and what you wanted, especially when big moments happen. That I was just going to be even keel and hold it together, and if I was feeling something, I wasn't going to show it to you because I thought that would cause you more stress. But what actually happened is you felt like I'm crazy, I'm nuts because he seems fine, and I'm losing my shit over here. So then it created a space where it felt like it was not okay to feel those things, even though I probably had some of those things inside me, and that we're still different, but we could relate.
like, how did you feel about moving here?
Um, I was excited, but I didn't know we were leaving a lot behind. We were leaving.
Friends?
We were in a great neighborhood.
Great.
We're by the beach. We love San Diego. We're leaving all of our family. The role wasn't totally clear. So I'm like, I'm moving across the country and I don't even know what this is going to look like. That's scary. Um,
Especially for you.
yeah, that's for me. I mean, yeah, especially for me. And then so, yeah, I was definitely had some anxieties or stress or some fear.
You didn't show any of it.
I did, and that's who I was back then.
So how can we expect people to be sharing how they feel
Yeah.
if they haven't done those pieces, right?
Yeah, they got to start there for sure. Because first off, we have to be in it together. It can't be one person's over here and the other person's over there. That's not going to help in any situation because change is hard. No matter how it shows up for you, it's going to be hard. So if you're not communicating, if you're not in it together, no matter if you're experiencing it differently, but at least we can support one another through it, and be there for each other. Otherwise, it's just that's when the fights are going to happen, and that's when yeah, it's going to get messy and it's going to be super challenging and chaotic in a relationship. So I think we talked through this decision for our son we talked through it for a while. We've been navigating this for a long time. And then again, we like pros and cons lists. We listed them out. I think the big thing for this, especially when you make a decision that it's not permanent, you got to and you believe in it, like let's see what happens. We can always go back. We can always make other decisions. I think the hardest ones are ones that just hit you in the face and you weren't expecting them. All right, so to close this thing out, a couple of things I would say that I think are helpful for change. First, as an individual, when worrying about what happens, is reminding yourself of how much change you've already been through and where you are today, and then go find moments of when you made decisions change or changes hit you in the face. But then there's actually great things that came after. There's so many examples in our life when change happened and so many good things came after it. So look back and remind yourself of that. Um, and if you're choosing to make change, if it's the right decision, don't worry about the outcomes of it, right? Because if it is the right decision and you truly believe that as an individual and with your spouse, then that's the best you can do. Because being in parents, being in relationships, I always say this to leaders I work with. The hardest part is those big decisions that you have to make, and they're pretty frequent. You have to make big decisions a lot of the time, and we can get paralyzed, right? So back to probably another conversation, but does it align to our values? Do we have the same goals? Are we on the same page? Then those decisions, when you have a couple, when you're in a relationship, become a lot easier because it's like, hey, is this aligned to who we are and is this aligned to what we want to accomplish as a group, as a couple? Then let's do it. Let's freaking go. That's kind of why we made a decision to Georgia. We knew we wanted a space to raise children, right? We wanted a house that was bigger and louder. And we wanted to be able to afford that house. And and you wanted what was best for me. And we were aligned on that. And so that made the decision. It was pretty quick.
It's like,
I said it and you're like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, okay. I guess we're doing. I didn't think you would respond like that.
really?
I was shocked. Yeah. What advice do you have?
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, way to close it. That's good. Yeah. Feel it. Because there's so much growth on the other side of it. No matter again what happens, there's so much growth.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like instead of looking at it like, what am I losing? So I was like, what am I gaining?
Yeah.
You know, what's this other side? That what also can I learn?
Yeah.
You know, but I really do think it's like it's all like trust. You're more capable than you think you are.
Yep.
You can handle change. We all can. We already have. And when you feel like you need to make a change, oh, this is great. There's this thing that I've seen where people are like, they call it like choose your heart. It's like, for instance, this woman, she was like 400 pounds. She was miserable, right? She showed herself on this video of like lifting weights. She's like, this is hard. This is hard. And then it shows her a video of her like can't even walk, right? And she's like, this was also hard. Choose your heart. And so the point is that we are always, it's always not easy, right? It's all, especially like going into a change, but you have a choice of how you look at it, right? You have a choice of how
what does it mean?
what does it mean to me? And what am I learning from this? So, yeah, I think I really like this conversation because it did remind me, like coming off of our therapy session, like I'm a badass.
I think the other thing that the advice I gave you.
He laughs. He didn't even say, yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are. The advice I gave you when change happens and your mind might go to the bad things or
so I write these
wasn't
down.
wrong.
So like for me, like
Stop, I'm finishing my statement. Interrupt her, Nikki. When the first thoughts that come to mind are all the bad things that can happen, make it a habit to equal the amount of force yourself to think what are the good things that can happen.
Yeah.
Write the list that Nixie was talking about. I make a list. But your brains might go, all these bad things are going to happen today. But then go, all right, I have to find good things that could be possible. Write those out too and look and go, those things are pretty good.
I have one more thing to add.
Yes, you, Nikki.
There's one more example. It's called the sphere of control. Sphere of control.
Sphere or sphere?
Sphere.
Smear?
Like the Vegas sphere.
Mm-hmm.
A sphere.
I saw that. Yeah.
Okay. It's called the sphere of control. And there's 3 questions.
Ask me the question.
Okay. So here are the questions. What in your life do you have total control over?
Everything.
What do you have some control over? And what do you have no control over? I feel like the first and the last are the same thing. No control, and you have control over everything. It's like the same.
Yeah.
It's in a way. But anyways, the point is about this change thing, right? Is like asking yourself
and write those answers down.
What do you have? So here again, one more time is the question.
Say the questions again.
What in your life do you have more total control over?
Please don't do that.
Okay. What in your life do you have total control over? What do you have some control over? And what do you have no control over?
And what do you do once you answer those questions?
Yes.
Yeah. So focusing on what you can't control. Right?
Yeah.
Focusing on that.
Focusing on what you cannot control.
On what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Way to end it, Nick. Well, thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Share your change. How do you navigate change?
How do you navigate change? What changes do you have going on?
And
involve us.
Yeah. And as my friend 50 Cent will say, death gotta be easy because life is hard.
It's like when the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, and also Kelly Clarkson. What they're gonna kill you makes you stronger. I live my life by those two quotes. I do.
You live by those two
Both those quotes. Gotta look at the. All right. Thank you guys again. We're losing it. Time for bed. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do all things. Hippity dippity there. Bye. Peace.